Welcome to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig Sullivan, and today is the last show for season 6. But before we bring in our celebrity guest today, we're going to thank our production partners who've been with us throughout the season, our good friends at Red Roof Franchising, Chicago Titles National Commercial Services Group, California, and Radisson Hotel Group of the Americas. Without them, without you, without our guests, we don't have a show. So thank you all for joining us. And with no further ado, you know him as the voice of hospitality, Mr. Glenn Haussman. And our other celebrity guest is producer GM David.
Woohoo! Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Great to see you.
We're doing great. How about yourself?
This is great because Craig, you're thoroughly in charge, and David and I get to be guests for today. How fun is that?
Absolutely, guys. I thought this would be a unique show.
Yeah.
Having you guys on, and we'll kind of recap the year so far. I mean, we've seen a lot of different things going on. You guys are both in the trenches. David's GM at a hotel in New York City. You've been on the road getting back at it, plus the Daily Show.
Yep.
And I thought just bring a lot of different insights to everybody and have some fun with this. So let's talk about.
If you wanted to have fun, why did you invite Dave and me to be your guests? I don't get that.
Yeah, and if you wanted some quality insight,
come on. Don't sell your guys self short. So.
Hey, listen, I got power too here. I can do sound effects.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Mine's shut down right now. So anyhow, let's talk about leadership and how it's changed over the past couple of years and post COVID-19. What do you guys think about what's going on out there? Glenn, let's start with you, and then we'll follow up with David.
I'll be interested to hear what Dave has to say. But what I've been thinking about lately is when it comes to leadership, I think we're at a reckoning point. Craig,
yeah.
Right? I think that the leaders today have to acknowledge the sins of yesterday, the inadvertent sins that were that happened when the COVID crisis happened, and the people that were in the ownership groups and in management said, "Hey, we've got to let everybody go," but they'd also preached to everybody's family, and I think that caused a rift. Now, I'm not blaming anybody. It was a situation that happened, but I think it changed the dynamic of everything. And I think for good leaders today, we have to really reinvent the leadership structure from the ground up and rethink how we connect with employees in order to win their love that's genuine between both parties.
I agree with you on that. I think it's far more than just a compensation package. I mean, people like David give up weekends, holidays, time with family. So how about a couple of extra, personal days off, something else to help compensate with that. So David, I'm really curious to hear what you have to say being a frontline GM in one of the two most important hotel markets in the country, New York and California.
Well, Glenn, obviously, he just kind of tackled, some of the upper level, executive level leadership. So I'll bring it down to more on property and line level facing. But I think it's a lot of the same principles. It's just understanding and trying to work with your team and seeing what they want, because the wants of the worker are different, right? For example, stepping out of your comfort zone. I have a operations manager here who is a great leader. I've worked with her before, but she made it very clear, she did not want to work 5 days a week. So other hotels have been trying to get with her, and they were very hard and fast and saying, no, we're not going to work with you on that. You need to work 5 days. I said, no problem. We'll give you 3 days and we'll figure out the other days with somebody else, which is exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And it's worked out perfectly, right? So that's kind of that breaking of the mold, that traditional, hey, managers, especially operations managers, need to be on property 5 days a week at a minimum. With the industry having such a challenge finding mid-level management, finding line-level employees, you have to think outside that box. Now, of course, there's standards you have to hold accountable to, right? The hotel's still going to run 24 hours a day. But if you can find unique ways to get creative, find a little flexibility, I think people have to do that because, one, it's going to open up your business to more opportunity to bring in, various candidates. But two, it's going to show you that you really do care about them, right? show that, hey, whatever's going on in your life, I really do value. And I think that's also a part that gets lost a little bit in this industry is that people, it is a 24-hour industry, right? People do have
Right.
lives though, and finding a better work-life balance, which is not easy, especially in certain departments, is going to be so important moving forward.
There you go. I think you're both right on that. And I think that, we are at a crossroads and, you know, Glenn, you and I bring this up all the time. We've got friends,
Yeah.
Tom Gachet at Davidson Hotels and Chris Green. These guys started out as hourly employees. They
That's
get
right.
it. They understand it. I think that gives them a leg up on all the other
That's a really good observation.
CEOs.
Right, because one of the things I hear when with Chris Chesapeake now at Remington since the company's merged is that culture thing and creating the right culture. It's curious if you come from that ground up, you have a very different viewpoint of things. But then again, I'm speculating because I've never worked at a property. Dave, what do you think?
I think that kind of ties into what I was going to bring up is the idea of also how is leadership helping grow the career of their subordinates, right? That's something I think even prior to COVID, just due to staffing constraints, right? There were 1 million jobs open in the industry before COVID even hit. And people were kind of working thin, especially from mid-level and upper-level management on property. And I think a lot of times people were getting lost in that training opportunity, the opportunity to grow and enhance their careers. And people were feeling kind of left out as they were trying to make their way up the industry.
Right.
And I think leaders need to take time all the way up the scale, right? So from line level to mid-level
Right.
to executive level on property, executive level to area, right? It's not always just about the dollar value, right? Of course, that's very important, but to get people to want to be in your organization, to get people to want to be in the industry, there needs to be an idea of how we're going to advance our careers, right? And I think that's going to be something that if hotels are doing that well, or if companies are doing that well, providing those growth opportunities, providing those mentorships, providing that training, even if it's difficult, right? Again, everyone's busy. Everyone's got a lot going on, but finding that time, a half an hour to sit down someone and say, hey, we're going to work on this today. We're going to work on this next week. Show them the value in their growth opportunity. That's going to go a lot longer than just giving them an extra $5,000 raise.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. And, how are you doing that? I mean, you've got everybody multitasking at the property level, David. I mean, are you taking your line associates and going, look, we're going to work and get you promoted and have you moving up the ladder here at the property? I mean, are you holding classes? Are you giving them assignments? How are you impacting them as the on-site leader to better their career and have more longevity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, again, it's taking time, right? It's not easy to always find time, but myself as a leader needs to find it. And if that means I have to work an extra hour later because it took an hour at 3 o'clock to do that with them, then absolutely do that. Another thing I've set up here is kind of to your point of a classroom, right? I won't say it's a training session, but I guess it's essentially what it is, where any managers that, and line level too, that want to come to this session, we do it once every other week. And basically it's an open forum and we have a topic of that week. So for example,
Nice.
if we're doing revenue management, I'm leading that class and I'm going over a star report or a PACE report. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll do a P&L review and my director of finance will lead that. And then 2 weeks from that, we'll do a review in housekeeping, how to break the house out and how to know how many credits you have to give out and staffing models, right? So everybody that joins that is going to be getting touched in every different department and learning from the expert in that department on the property. So everyone's getting involved, not just learning, but also training. And then separately from that then helps kind of crack some walls, break down some barriers to now maybe my mid-level ops manager feels confident to go to my director of finance and say, hey, can you show me this? Or how do I do this? Or I was looking at this. Conversely, for myself, also just sitting them down and saying, okay, hey, so-and-so person, let's sit here. I'm doing something that I think you would want to know. Watch me do it. I have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm going to walk you through as I do it. And then I'm going to ask you to start doing it moving forward. And then as you have questions, write them down, come back to me, and this will become part of your responsibilities. Now, of course, you need someone on your team or the people that want to grow. Otherwise, you're just going to have someone who's thinking, I'm taking on more responsibility for no other pay. But when you identify those people, it's imperative you do things like this to keep them challenged. Otherwise, they will go somewhere else.
Challenge and longevity. Treat them right. I mean, Glenn and Anthony have been preaching that, since hotels started reopening again. Now, you guys both still have a ton of hotels in Manhattan that are still closed, not coming back. We've got the ups and downs of that here in San Francisco as well. So what's the latest that you guys are seeing out there?
I would say it's probably good news for Dave. He's going to be able to sell more rooms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the story in New York City before COVID, and then I'll let Dave, take over for what he's seeing today because he's there every day. Was there was so much development going on. It really became a situation of, I think, way too much development for the demand that was there. If you recall, Craig, back in the late 1990s, a lot of hotel supply left the market and got turned into condos and other types of mixed use buildings, right? Yeah. And I think that kicked off what became the select service boom that we saw, and it really transformed everything. I don't think that boom has ever stopped since then up until now. So maybe it'll right size the market, but maybe I'm completely off. Dave, what do you experience at the ground level?
Well, I mean, the idea is, of course, there's going to be a lot of hotel rooms that are out of service, and that's going to help spread the wealth to the rest of the city. And in the short term, I think we're seeing that, right? May and June ADRs were higher than they were in 2019. To your point, Glenn, 2017, 2018, 2019, even before that, the talk was how hotels could not drive rate anymore.
And you were at the top, of the market, but they were still flooding in. It was crazy, right?
And hotels were making more, and on top of that, hotels were making more revenue than they'd ever made before in 19.
Right. And still
losing money because everything else, got so high. But with all of that said, and I could be wrong, I haven't checked these numbers in a while, but as of my last knowledge, which was several months ago, New York City was still the number one developing market in the country.
Right.
So people still do want to develop here. And I do have concerns about that because the market has not fully rebounded. Yes, we're seeing great leisure demand in that kind of that revenge travel that people are talking about from international business.
But then September is going to happen, right, Dave?
Right. So, what's going to happen when people are back to school and BT's not fully back, groups not fully back? New York City is heavily driven, heavily relying on those segments. So, I don't have the answer to that. We're going to find out, but certainly the lack of rooms or the closure of rooms in the short term is going to help.
David, are you seeing a lot of foreign nationals coming into Manhattan right now, or is that a little softer than anticipated?
No. International business, at least from my hotel, has been very strong. And you could honestly walk around. And actually, on Saturday, it was my wife's birthday, who you guys know.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Annie.
And we ended up staying a night in the city. And as we were walking around the west side of the city, it was a lot of international travel, and various people were speaking in Spanish, and she understood. She as a Hispanic speaker, or a Spanish native speaker, can sometimes identify where they're speaking, where they're
dialect
Spanish from, right?
Yeah,
and a lot of them were Spain.
Really
interesting. Okay,
she was like, "That's a Spanish, that's a Spanish couple. That's a Spanish couple. That's a Spanish speaker, from Spain." We've had a lot of European travel at this hotel. So I think the international market has been very strong as those restrictions have opened back up from both sides.
Yeah.
Nice. How about, Glenn, you're probably a little bit more in tune with this. How about sales of hotel asset? California led the market this year so far. We've had 77 hotels trade for $1.9 billion. So obviously there aren't any haircuts going out there on sales. What are you seeing on the sales side in Manhattan in particular?
I see, two distinct groups: people holding and people selling. Right. The big deal was the Mandarin Oriental. I'm forgetting the exact numbers on that one, but that was really a bellwether of everything, where you couldn't build something like that for anywhere close to the pricing you got. So I think what's happening in the New York market when it comes to real estate, and I just want to say strictly, I'm not a real estate professional. I'm a generalist in hospitality, but I think what my sense is that people that didn't have the right structure for deals going in are the ones that are suffering most right now and being put against the wall to have to sell at prices they otherwise would not have entertained. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, in talking to some people that are in the higher level values or higher level portions of the business of that part, I think, and this isn't to criticize anybody, but we talked about this over the last couple of years, right? The hotels that have been heavily involved in CMBS loans have really struggled.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think you're seeing a lot of those sales force through. But people that have been able to make it, I think they also, to what we were just talking about, realize if they can get to this point or get to a certain point with the closures and the closing of other hotels, that they're going to come out really well on the other side. Right. So, owners that stayed in, they're seeing that now.
Yeah, and I think with CMBS, granted they're still kicking things down the road that can, and they're going to continue to do that. And I think it's not going to be nearly as bad as, say, the CMBS lending and takebacks on Class A office buildings.
And I mean, the government was very good to a lot of hotels that helped them get through the worst part. So
exactly,
generally speaking, across the country and in New York, that people that were best able to utilize those available programs and also didn't have a bad financial structure when they got the property, they really are coming out on the other end of this in a much more positive light. Right. And they're the model, which is why I think so many people with the money on the sidelines is now starting to come into New York again.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's talk about events. Broadway's back. Sporting events are, got the crowds back.
I don't know.
Sports and entertainment, travel, Smurf groups, leisure. What are you seeing with the Smurf groups? Let's start with them.
Dave?
Well, yeah, I mean, groups themselves, they are definitely coming back. Now, all the entertainment venues are open, right? So, Yankees and Mets are playing. Madison Square Garden's having concerts. Barclays Center is doing all the basketball and other events. So, Gov Ball just happened. UNGA is expected to be full force. So, for those who don't know, UNGA is the United Nations General Assembly, which is usually the third week in September, which is literally the Super Bowl of New York. That's the 1 week in New York City you cannot miss. All of these things are happening. So, you're seeing those events and you're seeing those entertainment groups and those Smurf groups come in. But the thing is, the lead time is still really short. You're still getting RFPs for an event that's 2 weeks away.
Okay.
Maybe 3 weeks at best. Now, UNGA, different story. Yeah. We got an entertainment lead here recently. It was for next week. And we got it 2 days ago.
Right.
So, that lead time is still fairly short. It's definitely growing. I want to say that it's growing, and there's definitely more groups looking further out. But it's not what it typically would be, at least not just yet.
I will tell you, Dave is right on. While I was at High Tech, I happened to host a show with Jeff Bezdovka, who's the CEO of Nolan, and they focus really on these group numbers. And we talked about that compression and how it's still happening. Now you have the massive meetings, the CESs, the major conferences that book 4 or 5 years in advance, but all these smaller ones are really starting to be booked on a much shorter window. And the reason that he cited was all of that indecisiveness. You look back on, everyone thought it was going. Then we had a setback. We thought it was going again. Then we had Omicron, right? As an event producer, you're keenly aware of all of that. So that seems to be working itself through. All of those weddings and stuff have been rescheduled and now done. And now all of the people that didn't have confidence to book are finally coming into the market to book, but they need to do it now.
Well, let's throw another monkey wrench into that. We were talking about this off air. Delta Airlines and the rest of the U.S. carriers, if not all of them internationally, are struggling. They're canceling flights left and right. What's the impact with events with that? You can't get there. You can't get home.
Well, as we're recording this, we're going to the July 4th weekend. So I think that's a little bit of an anomaly that's happening. And I think a lot of it is centered around this. But I also think that during the summer, traditionally, up to the last few years pre-COVID, we're in a lot of events during the summer comparative to September, October, right? March, April, May, that kind of a window. So I don't really see that events being affected by air travel as much as the resorts that are accepting people who have been dying to go away for 6 months, a year, and then
Revenge travel. Yeah. They may have a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Tech. You guys Glenn's at High Tech down in Orlando. So
I am, but
what's the latest
I
and the
was
greatest?
streaming all of it so people wouldn't know that I was still here while we were recording that.
So what's going on in high tech?
What's on the horizon there? Yeah.
All right. So overall, I think there's a confluence of things happening in hospitality technology, right? I think generally speaking, we're seeing two different approaches by the brands. One is bring all the technology in-house and create our own suite of technology, either by buying companies or creating services themselves. And the other thing I'm seeing is the idea of still going out to market for best of breed solutions and pulling them all together. On the vendor side, we're seeing a lot more consolidation that's happening. We're seeing a lot of the vendors now come together through venture capitalist groups and other means to kind of team up in that way that some of those brands are doing by creating a suite of products for themselves. So they're saying, hey, if we could offer the whole panoply of products, it's an easier sell to a hotel than, trying to sell one thing here and buy another thing here and that sort of thing. So it's an interesting moment in hospitality. Plus, everyone's pushing robots. One of the, one company was. The thing that I think was most exciting is I think the tipping software that's coming into play now is going to be really meaningful. I think hotels should really invest in that technology. I was speaking to a COO of a major management company that's going to be investing in that product for sure. With the belief being that not only will that individual, because looking at the data that the company they're talking with provided, their salaries will go up, like $4.25 an hour for an hourly worker. That's a big deal. While also making that person more aware that their behaviors and acts directly relate to that tipping. So they think that they're going to get more dedicated staff and more engagement. And then they also won't have to replace as many people because of it. So they really see it as a virtuous circle type of
plus.
situation.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
So overall, it's interesting to see what the companies are doing. But the general new technologies, other than that, I haven't seen anything really new or revolutionary. I think it's a story of iterations as opposed to revolutions.
There you go. David, anything at the property level that's new and exciting that you like?
I mean, a lot of the tech stuff is still developing. Glenn obviously just gave a much better detail than I could because, again, hotels, especially right now, they're looking to recoup a lot of the losses over the last 2 years. So you're gonna have to come out with a really nice product to get a hotel to invest in something new at a higher level cost, because it's not just paying the bills now, but it's also recouping everything that was lost over the last 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, last question before we go to our celebrity lightning round.
Uh-oh.
Friday Night Audit. We've been on the air for over a year now. How much fun are we having with that show?
If I'd be truthful, I can't stand working with you guys.
I would say for us three, it's a ton of fun. For the viewers, I don't know how much fun it really is.
Yeah, that's true. It is so much fun. I think it's it's the best hour of the week on air for me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, David.
No, I mean, listen, I as you guys know, I finished my work week with the show, so it's a great thing to look forward to.
Yep.
And it's a great thing to wrap up the week with and head into the weekend. I love it. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can get producer Danny to join us for a second.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
There she is.
Hello.
Hello, producer Danny.
Danny, so
Yes.
you've been producing the show. You've been on Friday Night Audit. What do you think of the madness of the hospitality field? We got about an hour, so.
My goodness. I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to speak on this, but I do know that I feel for everybody in the hospitality industry. I do, because I know a lot of industries right now are kind of a mess, but I know that this is one that has taken a huge hit from everything that's been happening in the world and from COVID and everything. And I really do. I feel for people in this industry, especially like people like you guys who are really passionate about it and love what you do and want to help others and want to help the industry. And I know that it's really hard to do that right now.
It has been. And, it's been a trying, 2.5 years for everybody all the way around. Hey, Danny, why don't you bring in our celebrity judge? And also, you need to run the clock since I was having some technical difficulties. And you will put 3 minutes on the clock for our celebrity lightning round. But let's introduce our celebrity judge.
Hey!
And there she is. Dr.
And at least I can
Producer
get my
Suzanne.
internet to work by myself there, Glenn.
All right. All right, I'm leaving this call.
So next time
I win already. I win by default.
With you, maybe you understand why.
There you go. All right, Danny, let's take it down to the 3 shot of me, Glenn, and David, please. And we're going to start this off. Okay, guys, word association.
Yep.
3 minutes on the clock. Producer Danny will step in and let you know when time's up or how much time was left on the clock if we've gone through the 10 questions. And since this is Celebrity Lightning Round,
oh boy,
Glenn Haussman is playing for his favorite charity. He will get the cash equivalent of a full ticket price for CLIC.
Oh,
big news, March 1st and 2nd, 2023, to his favorite charity, his twin boys' college education.
I need to set up a Patreon page for that.
There you go. And then David is playing for a room and a pass for CLIC. So whoever gets the most questions, answers them first, wins. Okay?
So it's just whoever says something first, that's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So here we go. You ready? We got 3 minutes on the clock. U.S. Airlines.
Awful.
U.S. Scare.
Travel.
Tough.
Conferences.
Fun.
Tech.
Good.
Whatever.
In and Out or The Habit?
Habit.
In and Out.
Uber or rental car?
Lyft.
Where are we going?
Favorite airport?
Newark.
LaGuardia. It's brand new.
I'm winning here, by the way.
Aisle or window seat?
Aisle.
Tequila or whiskey?
Tequila.
Favorite hotel or resort?
Craig's house.
Ooh.
All right.
Haussman dispensary.
Danny, how much time's left on the clock?
The Haussman Resort Pool Club.
That was only like 2 minutes, you guys. That was really good.
Nice. You did it with a full minute left.
We've got a problem.
Do we have a tie?
Yeah.
Tie? I've answered everyone first, pretty much.
There's a tie.
All right. Danny's got the question. So, Danny.
Okay.
I need a recount here.
You guys ready for it?
I'm scared.
Conference Wi-Fi.
Shit.
Awful.
All right. You know what? Because this is the last show of the year, we are making that donation to Glenn's favorite charity, his kids' college fund, and producer David gets a room and a pass for CLIC on March 1st and 2nd, 2023.
Putting in my request now.
The rest of that announcement is we will have it at the Westin South Coast Plaza. I just signed the contract.
Congratulations. Today. That's awesome news.
Yes.
Looking forward.
Dr. Producer Suzanne has already got a ticket, so hopefully you can join us as well, and we can all do a live in-person broadcast from CLIC. Suzanne, what do you think? Last show of the year. I've had you on. I've talked to some of your associates. It's been a pleasure having you on Friday Night Audit with us as well. So,
it's been awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm glad I was able to come in and shock and surprise you all today.
Trust me, I was flipping out when the camera wasn't working. It's like, oh no, there's too much on the line. We got to make this show happen. So
it happens all the time.
I know, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, there's so many other things I need to do. You people, come on, guys.
Yeah,
it's
not easy when you can't produce. This is the first time I'm doing this from my phone, and I'm in truly the green room backstage, so
You're
I can't
truly
see
in
anything.
dial-in
So
mode
I
right
feel
Well, it appears,
handicapped.
yeah, that's strange, but it also appears you're doing it from 1997 with the way that the way you're skipping around over there.
Great. All right. Well, I'm gonna go then.
Suzanne, thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Suzanne, before you take
Bye.
off, time for a shameless plug from each and every one of you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, awesome. Well, connect with me, Suzanne Bagnera, and I am the director of the Hospitality Institute at Indian River State College, creating the Anthony Melchiori Institute of Hospitality. So hit me up down in Vero Beach, Florida. You can find me on LinkedIn. Thanks.
Bye,
Nice.
Suzanne.
Bye, Suzanne.
David.
That was fun.
Yeah.
You know, I totally kicked your ass.
Yeah, whatever.
David, shameless plug.
Friday Night Audit. Make sure you guys check us out every Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock if you're in Craig's time. Get some day drinking in. Of course, check out No Vacancy Live. And Times Square Today, my podcast with the great people over at the Times Square Alliance. So check it all out.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Thank you, David. Glenn.
Check out novacancynews.com, your home for the industry's best podcast, No Vacancy Live, Friday Night Audit, Hotel Design Podcast, Hotel Tech Influencers and Innovators. Plus, come see me. I just got a general session slot at the Lodging Conference, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And I'll be speaking at this fall at the My Place Conference and Red Roofs Conference. So it looks like it's going to be a busy fall coming together. I'm excited about that too.
Love it. Congratulations. You deserve it, brother. Thank you guys for everything that you've done. Really appreciate you making time to join us today on the last show of the season. You guys are the best. I love working with you. Your family, you both know that. So thank you. Producer Danny, thank you. Without you driving this bus, we don't have a show. So you are the best. I am looking forward to season 7.
Thank you.
Danny and I are going to take a little break. We're going to get a little rest in. We're going to retool the show, and we'll be back. Whether it's 30 days or 45 days, I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
Well, if you're going to retool it, make sure to be really good, don't have Dave on again as a guest.
Again, everybody out there, go take a look at the views from our last clicks. There's a reason I have to join Glenn on the show today.
I'm gonna have to go pay a promoter now to get to fix this problem.
So thank you guys. We're gonna drop you into the green room while I wrap the show. I'll see you in a minute.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, Danny, come back out, would you please?
Goodness gracious. Hi.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course.
So anybody needs a producer, director, editor, this is the person. But just don't interfere with our show, okay? She's got other time. She's a great one. She loves what she does, and she is just the best at it. And seriously, Danny, without you, I don't have a show. So thank you very, very much for working with me, putting up with all of my craziness. It's just an absolute joy. And we've accomplished so much in just a short amount of time. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Craig. Honestly, without you, we wouldn't have a show. So thank you very much.
I just nod and smile. That's all I do.
A little more than that. But thanks, Craig.
Well, it's that time. So let's thank our production partners. Who are they today, Danny?
Oh, we got Red Roof Franchising, Chicago National Title Commercial Services of California, and Radisson Hotel Groups of the Americas. Thank you to all of our production partners.
Absolutely. Thank you to our audience for joining us. If you want to be on the show, you want to suggest a topic, a guest, you want to be a production partner, DM Danny or myself. We'd love to hear from you. We will be taking a break. We will have a sizzle reel going out probably in a couple weeks, maybe a little longer after this episode drops. But, we're looking forward to seeing you guys all again real soon. Until then, remember, be kind, share your knowledge. Now go be amazing.